Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today I've got a fountain pen focus for you. This is where I take a deep dive look at just one pen. Today we're going to be taking a look at this. This is the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. It's a gold nib pen. So join me now down on the mat. Let's take a look at the pen. We'll do a writing sample, then I'll give you my thoughts on it. So here we are down on the mat. We've got here the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. I like this pen. It looks nice and simple. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just there. It does what it says. We'll take a look around the body. Start off at the top. The top's flat. It feels like there's a tiniest amount of a dome on there, but that could just be the way I'm wanting it to be, because when you look at it, it does look flat. From the top then, we taper out until we get to this silver coloured band. Nice and springy. The cap, to my eye, it tapers out slightly until about a third of the way down. Then it seems to flatten off and stays the consistent width all the way down till we get to this band here. And on the band, we've got Custom Heritage 92 Pilot, made in Japan. We then got a little bit more of the plastic, which is starting to taper down until it drops off to the body, and that is a noticeable step down to the body. The cap, as I say, it's a nice, I would say some kind of steel metal. Nice shape to it, nothing on there, there's nothing saying Pilot or anything like that. Just fairly plain looking. With the body again to my eye is the same width all the way down until we get to the piston mechanism cap here. Now I'm not going to trigger this, but this is where we've got the piston mechanism. So twisting that will force this piston mechanism. Not sure if you can see it through this black transparent body, but there's the piston mechanism. Twisting that forces that mechanism down, and then closing it back off again draws that piston up, which is what then draws the ink into the pen. Now, this is a similar complaint I've got with a lot of piston pens. The mechanism, the end of it's here. So even if I unscrew the cap, the mechanism takes up more than half of the body. So we're not getting a massive amount of ink in here. For me, that's perfectly fine because I like to be able to change my inks quite frequently. So it doesn't really bother me too much. But just be aware, you're not going to get a lot of ink into this body. Let's pop the cap back on, and then we'll take it off again. So it comes off in half, 1, 1.5, about 1 3/4 turns to take the cap off. That reveals this business end. This is what first drew me to this pen. This is a Pilot. It's a 14 karat gold nib, and it's got that nice silver coloured plating on it. I think this looks quite nice with the black of the body. Personally, and again, very, very personal choice here, I would have still liked to have seen the gold coloured nib. I think the gold nibs look so nice. I mean, why try and hide the fact that you're gold by plating it in something like this? The nib's a nice size. It's nice and soft and bouncy. We'll see that when we come to the writing sample. From the nib, we're coming down here into the section. The section seems to have a lip at the bottom. It's not a very pronounced lip. It's nice and comfortable when I'm using it for longer sessions. And then I think there's an ever so slightly tapering out until we come to this metal band, and then we've got the threads. So not a complex pen, nice and simple. And that's one of the things I like about it. It's simple, it's attractive. It does what it says. I'm just going to swap over the view and I'll fetch in the two pens that I use for my standard size comparisons. So the pens that I've brought in, I've got a Pilot Metropolitan and I've got a Lamy Safari. As we can see, these are all more or less the same size. The Safari just ever so slightly longer when we've got the cap on. Let's look at these uncapped. Uncapped, we can see here that the Custom Heritage 92 is actually the shortest of the three. I still find it's fine to use it unposted, although if I know I'm going to be doing a longer session, I will try and post this. We'll look at it posted in a minute. The nib, as said, it's a 14 karat gold. The other two are steel nibs. To me, the nib, it's the nicest part of this pen. It really is. It writes really well. Let's take a look at these pens posted. So posted, the Metropolitan and the Custom Heritage 92, they're about the same size, whereas the Lamy Safari, definitely a lot longer than both these pens. And just to show you, it is nice and stable when posted, and even in the hand, posted, this is what I was saying, it looks quite nice. Unposted, still usable. I'm going to swap over these pens and fetch in some pens roughly in the same price range. So the pens that I brought in a Platinum 3776 Century. This is another nib, 14 karat gold. So nib wise, we're talking the same material. This was 200 Australian dollars. The Pilot Custom Heritage 92, that cost me 270 Australian dollars. The other pen I brought in, this is a Diplomat Aero. This has got a steel nib, and this was 263 Australian dollars. What I've tried to do is fetch in some pens in roughly the same price range. As we can see, the Platinum and the Pilot, they're very similar in size, aren't they? The nib, definitely bigger on that Platinum there. With the Aero, slightly longer when it's posted, and the nib size, it's a number 6 nib, so it just shows you the size really of that Pilot Custom Heritage 92 nib. Let's unpost these now. Unposted, got a slightly different story. The Aero still ever so slightly longer. The Platinum ever so slightly shorter. And in your hand when you're writing, that does make a difference, and you can tell the difference when you're using these two pens. Let's pop the caps back on. With the caps on, I've got to be honest, to me, all three pens look virtually the same size. Not a big difference between them. Just to remind for prices, $263 for the Aero, $270 for the Pilot Custom Heritage 92, $200 for the Platinum 3776 Century. Let's clear this off and we'll do some measurements. So here we are with the rule of measuring. Switch the pen in. So with the cap on, that's 13.6 centimetres. Uncapped, that comes in at 12.2 centimetres. Posted, that comes in at 15.2 centimetres. If we look at the widths, I'll just lay these here. With the body, the width is 1.19 centimetres. The width of the cap, that's 1.41 centimetres. And the section, as said, there's just a slight tapering out, goes from 0.98 to 1.06 centimetres. Fairly slim pen. You can feel that when you're writing. Let's clear this off and we'll do some weights. So here we have the scales of weighing. So the full pen, 21, nearly 22 grams. The body, 13 grams. The cap, 8 grams. Not a heavy pen. Again, when you're writing, you can feel the lightness of it. Let's get the scales out of the way and we'll fetch in the notepad. So here we've got the notepad of testing. This is a black and red A5 notebook and it uses the Oxford Optic paper. Let's do some writing. So we've got here a Pilot Custom Heritage 92. This has got a medium nib and its cost, I'll go on the line below, was 270 Australian dollars. The ink I'm using is by Dieman. This is an Australian brand of ink made in Tasmania and it's Apple Island Green. This is a lovely green coloured ink. I really like using this. It's not too bright, but it's not too dark. And we've got some little bits of shading coming through already. Let's do our drying times. Immediate. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. Finally, 1 minute. After a minute, there's still quite a lot of wetness coming off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 2-minute test. After 2 minutes, well, look at that, it's still fairly wet, isn't it? So I think this is something, if I'm going to be doing longer notes with it, I need to think about this combo because obviously it's very wet. I'm going to move the mic so you can hear the pen write. I like that. You can hear the nib writing, but you can't really feel it. It's nice and smooth. And as I'm writing, as I'm putting the pen down, I can feel the nib bouncing a little bit. It's a really pleasurable experience to write with. Let's look for some line variation. So this is with no pressure. We'll add some pressure. We're definitely seeing a wider line with a bit more ink being put down. And do some S's. And there you can see that wider line coming out when I'm doing the downstrokes. Final test. Let's see how it keeps up when I'm doing my scribble. Yeah, no issue at all there. Just going to put this page to one side for a few seconds, give that a little bit of time to dry. Let's take a look at this. So this is Tom I River paper. This is in a Galen Leather A5 notebook. It's 52 GSM paper. So here we've got the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. In here at that time was Dieman Winter Spice. Now hopefully I can catch the light just right. We can see a really nice green sheen on this paper. I'm not sure if that's coming out over the camera, but certainly when I'm writing, whether I'm looking at it with my eyes, on the D and the I, on that Dieman word, there's a lot of green. The I here, I see a lot of green as well. Just give that another couple of wiggles. I've also got another page, and this is where I did a page with that Dieman Apple Island Green. So here we go. This pen really shows off the beauty of this ink. I've had this ink over a year and I've tried it in a lot of different pens. But this is the one where I'm really seeing the shading, where I'm really seeing the interest come out in it. And especially, let's go look down the bottom here. On these S's, you can see there definite shading coming through. And again on here, you can see how wet it is as a combo. Really like that. Just fetch the notepad of testing back. I say it's not really had time to dry fully, but I'll just try and avoid touching the ink. So what are my thoughts and what are my scores on this? I'll start with how the pen looks. I think the pen looks really nice. I like this transparent black colour just so I can see a little bit of the ink. In one respect, it would be nice if I'd have got a fully transparent version so I really could have seen that ink. But it's nice. I don't know if you can see it here because the lights are very bright. But usually when I'm writing, I can see the ink level in there. I like the Custom Heritage shape. So this Custom Heritage, that's got the flat ends, whereas the Custom, that's got the domed ends. I think it looks nice. It's a nice, attractive pen to look at. When you look at that, you'll think, well, yeah, I can understand why it was $270. So in terms of pen looks, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The writing experience, I love this. I love this combo. I've had a number of fills of this ink in here now. This is a pen, because it's black, I can put in any ink I want. And I love playing around with the colours. But I really think with this Apple Island Green, the pen's fetching out the colour of the ink. And I think the ink is also fetching out that interest in the pen. When I'm writing with it, I love the bounce. I love the way it feels. Yes, as we heard, there's like a little bit of noise when I'm writing. Again, I actually like that because to me, it all adds to that whole enjoyment, the whole tactileness of using the pen. The writing experience, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Ink flow, had no issues with it, had no issues with skipping, had no issues with hard starts. With some of the other inks I've tried, I have had little bits of skipping. So in terms of ink flow, what I'm going to do is just give this an 8 out of 10. Value for money, always the interesting one, this isn't it? $270, seems like a lot of money, doesn't it? We have to bear in mind though, it's a 14 karat gold nib. It's one of those entry level type prices for gold nibs. It's a Japanese pen. It's a nice experience. It's nice writing. It's a pen that I always have inked up and I'm always reaching for. In terms of value for money, I've got to take into account 270, a lot of money. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. That means the total score for the Pilot Custom Heritage 92 is 8.5 out of 10. And I think that's a fairly good score for this pen. So this has been my fountain pen focus on the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on this pen? Have you got a version of it, maybe in a different colour? Why not drop a comment down below? Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.